Two leaders, two blueprints. Which future are we voting for? In 2025, Britain stands at a fork in the road, with Keir Starmer's Labour and Nigel Farage's Reform UK offering starkly different visions for the nation's direction. Their approaches diverge sharply on borders, energy, the economy, public services, and the very principles shaping Britain's global posture. Here's what really separates them and what's at stake. First, borders and immigration. This is perhaps the most vivid dividing line. Nigel Farage's Reform UK calls for a freeze on what it labels non-essential immigration. The party vows to leave the European Court of Human Rights, detain and deport all illegal arrivals, and end asylum claims from those arriving via what it deems safe countries. Offshore processing is on the table, and a new employer immigration tax is meant to discourage the hiring of foreign workers. The message is clear: clamp down hard, change the legal frameworks, and prioritise sovereignty above international agreements. Reform's mantra is to stop the boats, with plans for tough new laws and, if necessary, a dramatic break from European legal norms. Labour under Keir Starmer is charting a different course. The party plans to create a new border security command, aiming to smash the gangs that facilitate people smuggling. Labour's approach rejects the controversial Rwanda asylum plan, instead seeking to work more closely with the European Union and other partners to manage migration. The pledge is to cut net migration, but through enforcement, international cooperation, and ending costly hotel accommodation for asylum seekers. Labour's emphasis is on practical enforcement and institution building, aiming to balance control with upholding international laws and obligations. Next, energy and climate. Reform UK wants to tear up the UK's net zero pledge, arguing that it stifles economic growth and burdens households. Their plan is to scrap green levies from energy bills, ramp up North Sea oil and gas exploration, and fast-track the deployment of small modular reactor nuclear technology. They would also ban ultra-low emission zones and low-traffic schemes, framing these as costly and disruptive. For Farage and his party, energy security means more domestic fossil fuel production, fewer green taxes, and a rollback of environmental regulations in favour of what they call common sense. Starmer's Labour, meanwhile, is doubling down on a green agenda. The party has already created Great British Energy, a new state-owned company tasked with boosting domestic clean energy generation and ensuring ethical supply chains. Labour's mission is clean power by 2030, targeting a rapid shift to renewables and low-carbon sources. The approach centres on public investment, planning reform to speed up new energy projects, and an ambitious overhaul of the energy grid. For Labour, the transition to clean energy is not only an environmental imperative, but also a strategy for jobs, industrial revival, and lower long-term costs. On to the economy and tax. Reform UK's headline promise is to lift the income tax threshold to £20,000, putting more money in people's pockets. They plan to stop paying interest on quantitative easing reserves, arguing this will save billions for taxpayers. Reducing government waste is another core pledge, alongside an immigration-linked national insurance surcharge for firms hiring foreign workers. Reform's economic message is about deregulation, tax cuts, and shrinking the state. Pro-growth policies focused on individual choice and market freedoms. Labour offers a contrasting fiscal strategy. The party is sticking to tight fiscal rules, aiming to rebuild trust in Britain's finances. One signature policy is a 20% VAT on private school fees, set to begin in January 2025, intended to help fund improvements in state education. Industry policy is increasingly tied to the priorities of Great British energy and planning reform, with a focus on strategic investment, high-value jobs, and green growth. Labour's approach is about balancing fiscal discipline with targeted intervention, aiming to modernise the economy while maintaining stability. Public services, especially the NHS, are another battleground. Reform UK promises to eliminate NHS waiting lists over time, alongside a big push to recruit 40,000 more police officers and enforce zero-tolerance crime policies. They argue that tighter immigration and efficient management will free up resources and restore frontline services. Labor, by contrast, targets cutting NHS waiting times through 40,000 extra appointments each week, investment in new scanners and diagnostic hubs, and upgrades to the NHS app for better access and triage. Pay-for-performance incentives and reforms to primary care are central, with the aim of delivering more care more quickly to more people. Both parties claim they will fix the NHS. Their methods reflect their broader philosophies: reform, leaning on radical change and cost-cutting; Labour on reform and investment. Housing and planning? Reform UK wants a fast-track approach to brownfield development and loose-fit planning for major sites, arguing that lower immigration will ease demand pressures. Their belief is that deregulation and population controls will make homes more affordable. Labour, in contrast, has set a target of building 1.5 million homes during this parliament. The party plans to restore mandatory housing targets and overhaul the national planning policy framework to unlock building on a national scale. Labour's view is that only large-scale, state-enabled development can tackle the housing crisis. Immigration policy is secondary to supply-side reform. On rights and constitutional questions, Reform UK is calling for a referendum to leave the ECHR, a move that would mark a sharp break with decades of British legal tradition. They want to scrap the TV licence fee and push what they term anti-woke reforms across public institutions. Labour, meanwhile, is operating within existing international law, though there is debate within the party about tightening human rights laws short of ECHR exit. Their stated aim is to enforce laws more effectively while maintaining Britain's international commitments. Yet there are areas of overlap. Both say they'll reduce small boat crossings and speed up removals. Both promise growth and major infrastructure upgrades. But the crux of the split is clear. Reform UK's vision is sovereignty first, deregulation, and a break from international legal and environmental commitments. Labour's is state-led renewal, green investment, and institution building within international frameworks. Different roads, same promise, change. Now you know the split. Which road matches your priorities?